In this video, we're going to be showing you guys how to fix a leaky shower so that you guys don't have to listen to this. First thing you want to do is locate your main water line to your home, and you want to follow that up until you find a shutoff valve. What you want to do is you want to twist it closed so that the water pressure going up into your shower is now closed. Now what you want to do next is release the pressure in those pipes. So find your closest faucet and open that up so that it drains, and you'll notice that the water will slowly run out. Now while you're in the shower, you want to put a paper towel or a towel down over your main drain. This will stop anything from falling inside and will avoid future headaches. My shower handle did not have a hole or a set screw, and I was looking for it here. I thought I could locate it and use my Allen key to take it off. In fact, I did not have one. So what I did was I found something plastic just to remove it. And now it can be anything. I didn't want to use a screwdriver because I would end up scratching the finish. After the cover was removed, what you want to use is a Phillips screwdriver to remove the temperature indicator. This is fairly simple. And here's what it looks like when it is removed. After that is removed, you can see that there's teeth in and around the handle. And you can see the orientation of it. Now what you want to do is just grab the handle, wiggle it back and forth, and it should come off pretty easily. Now the handle itself does have interior teeth, and you can see that right here. Next, there's a metal sleeve that's protecting it, and you can see that there. What you want to do is just wiggle it back and forth, and it should slide out pretty easily. Now we're going to try to remove the ring, the brass ring around the shower, and I found it easier to remove the plate that attached to the wall. So I did that, removing the two screws just so we can access it a lot easier. Now this will be the hardest part of the repair. This brass ring does get seized up quite a bit. I tried to remove this by hand and I couldn't. So I tried to use a couple different things that might help me remove this brass ring. The first thing I tried was a vice grip. Now you want to be careful not to over tighten it, and you definitely don't want to torque this too much because you'll damage the internal piping, and that's not what we want to do. Now I spent about 10 minutes fighting with the vice grips, and what I found was useful was a rubber mat that we had that helped open jars. Now I don't know if the vice grips loosened it, but definitely the rubber mat helped remove and break the seal. Once the brass ring was removed, it was really easy. All I did was pull out the cartridge inside the shower, and this takes a little bit of finessing, but you just wiggle it back and forth until it comes out. There might be leftover water, as you saw there, but that's where opening up the tap really helps. All you want to note down here is the orientation. There was teeth on the outside of the ring, and its hot side was pointing up. This will be useful when we're putting it back together. Now once the cartridge was removed, we exposed two of these rings. Now these are the rubber washers that we'll be replacing. Now pretty fairly straightforward. I just used a flathead screwdriver to get in the center and just pry them out. Now we'll be replacing these so you don't have to worry about damaging them, but you do have to be careful because there is a spring that's inside of these rubber gaskets. Now we'll be replacing both the spring and the washer. You just want to make sure that it doesn't fall down your drain, cause more work. So once you're done with the right side, you can do the same thing with the left. Stick something in my case, flat screwdriver, and you can see the rubber washer and the spring comes out pretty easily. Now for us, these spring and washers are the cause of our leaks. They tend to degrade over time. The older they are, the more prone to failure. And what we did is we picked up this Delta replacement. It's both spring and washer together. Now I bought mine off of Amazon, but you can save a lot of money if you go to your local hardware store and buy these from a Lowe's or a Home Depot. So these were about $11 off Amazon, but the next week I found them at a local hardware store for about $5. So definitely save your money, go to your local hardware store and pick up the set. Just by touching the rubber, you can definitely see it's coming off my fingers, and the spring over time has lost a little bit of rigidity. And it's not pushing this back as far as it can be so that the pressure is not holding and thus causing the leak. One important thing here to note is the orientation of the spring. You want the small side of the spring to go inside the gasket. Now just feeling the resistance of the new spring to the old spring, you can definitely feel that the old one has lost a little bit of rigidity and it needs to be replaced. Now the height difference isn't as drastic on camera, but you can definitely tell that it needs to be replaced. So now we're going to go in reverse of what we did to take it apart. We're going to put the spring and the washer over our flathead screwdriver. You want to locate the center of the hole and just use your finger to push it back into place. Now this is where you have to be careful not to lose your spring inside your shower wall or down the drain. So luckily we got our paper towel to protect us, but just take extra care and time and do it slowly. Just make sure you're not losing your spring or washer. Now the left side went in relatively easy. The right side, I did have to push it and squeeze it a couple times for it, but you'll feel a click or a pop and you'll know that you got it in place. So this is what it looks like when they're both in. Now I gave it a couple more presses just to make sure that it was in and seated well. So now that the spring and washer were in, I just took some time to clean up the brass ring and the threading around it. There was a lot of residue just from the water, so I wanted to just make sure everything was cleaned up before I put it back together. Now there was an O-ring that had some built up. I just took it apart, cleaned it a bit, make sure that everything was fine. It was still elastic and holding its seal. Now your cartridge is ready to go up. And from last time we know that the hot side is pointing up, and that's the orientation we want. So you see hot right there, and that's going up. So that's the orientation. There was also guidelines to make it a lot easier. And you can see right here, it fits right into place. After that, wanted to install the brass ring back up. Now I've seen some videos where they do cut it off and you can buy a replacement. But in my case, it was usable or reusable and I could thread it back in. So it only takes a couple turns and you want to hand tighten it just enough so that you're not over torquing your pipes. And just give it one more turn. Just be careful not to over tighten and ruin all your plumbing and have to call a plumber to get back in there. So once your brass ring is on, all you have to do is put that plate back on. So there's 2 screws that you have to align to get this back in. Now it does take some finesse as some of these were harder to locate, but once you do get them in, pretty straightforward. Just thread them back on. Now once you're done that, you want to take your stainless sleeve, clean it up a bit, and slide it right back in over your brass ring. It's pretty straightforward. So one of the final steps is putting your handle back on. Now there are locating teeth, so it's pretty straightforward. You can just slide it into place, make sure the teeth line up, and push it back. Once you've done that, you can take your plastic clip, take a Phillips screwdriver, and screw it back into place. Again, this is self-locking, so it's pretty straightforward to align. And once you're done that, your plastic cap goes back on, or your metal cap in my case. And if you do have ones with the Allen key and the set screw, this will be your final step. So it's now safe to go back in, locate your water, and turn it back on. Just remember, if you do leave your sinks open, they will be running, and there will be some air pressure that has to come through the pipe at first. So if you do see air coming out your pipe, that is normal until your pipes fill back with water. Now you can be nice to your faucet because the leak has stopped. Now hopefully this video was useful to you guys. If it was, please let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.